Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon, Gibson Brands.
That's really throwing me off. We'll have to find out more about that. Tony's also on the
Space Force.
Space Force, that's right. Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you are listening to our show. And yes, I'm a little shocked from this strange announcement where maybe we'll find some out, or maybe Jared's yanking my chain. We'll figure this out in a couple minutes.
Probably.
Oh, my.
We are really excited to be together in the same room, having this podcast, even though it is super duper hot. It's like 90 degrees outside.
Hot. It's hot. That's outside. It's nice in here.
Maybe it's just Jared.
I think it's Jared.
Yeah, I complain about any type of heat.
Yeah, but you make about the heat of like 3 people, though.
I know.
It's true. I mean, I'm not making fun of you. I mean, just like for real. Like,
sometimes I think my wife
carbon
is
footprint is there.
Hey,
is
in addition
snuggling
to
with me, but she's just putting her feet on me because I'm warm.
In addition to us three, is there someone else there?
Well, I'm going to get there. Who's on the line tonight?
You got Johnathan Jerusik of 12th Hour Devices, YouTube, and Gallows Hill, the band.
All right.
All right,
Wow.
man.
That's a threefer.
We've heard his
Grand
name a million
Poohbah.
times.
Yes.
That's right.
So Jonathan's one of our Grand Poohbahs. He has been a supporter of the show for a long time.
Yes, he has.
We've had a couple of Grand Poohbahs on. We're going to have a couple more coming up. So we were really interested in finding out what makes them tick. Why are they so invested in the guitar community? Not because they're supporting us particularly, but they're truly supporting the whole community. So we want to hear from him. Jonathan, thank you for joining us. We had to endure quite a few calendar hip-hop-eronomuses. I don't want to get sued by saying hip-hop-opotamus.
I'm really honored to be here.
You were welcome. We're going to have a great show, everybody. We're going to talk about guitar stuff and more guitar stuff, and maybe we can sprinkle some guitar stuff in there.
Jared, what do we do on this podcast?
I don't know, Todd. What do we do on this podcast?
Well, I was just going to ask Tony.
Okay, well, since you asked nicely, we like to talk about gear.
Yeah.
And specifically boutique gear,
That's
for the
right.
most part.
That's right.
Some non-boutique gear from time to time. We like to talk about things like guitars and amps and pedals and accessories and all the good stuff. And every once in a while, we have one of Jared's favorite, which is
101.
a 101.
We learn about things.
We
and
learn
get
about it.
Educated. Sometimes we're wrong, but that's okay. We like our listeners to correct us
Nobody's
from time
right
to time.
all the time.
That's right.
Except for me.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Now, we got a couple of announcements we want to take care of.
Yeah.
And then we're going to mosey on our little way down our podcast path that we usually go down. If, by the way, you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We're really glad that you're listening to the show. Glad that you found us, however you found us, and please let us know what you think, okay? Okay. We need to thank... That's right, Rode Mics for providing this awesome audio equipment from which we broadcast. We've got the Rodecaster Pro
Yummy.
and the Procaster mics and the articulating arms.
Yum,
so
yum, yum.
thank you so much to Rode for providing that and helping us make us sound like good
This
human
is the
beings.
good stuff. This is the best.
The best.
Only the best.
I don't know what that is. All right. I also wanted to bring up, as I just asked any new listeners or anyone else really to share their thoughts, I have a shared thought that I wanted to share.
Wow.
So there.
That sounds like
it
you should
goes
share it.
a little something like this. This is from Jack. I'm pretty sure Cadian, Kadien, Cadian.
I'd say Cajun.
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 Okay. Sorry, Jack. Let us know how we're saying it wrong. It says, oh, by the way, he's a new supporter. So thank you.
Thank you.
He's a new patron. Thank you, Jack. I love the show. I've been listening for at least a year or two. I especially like the episodes where you bring on pedal builders. I want to get into pedal building myself, and listening to their origin stories gives me inspiration. My gear of choice would be a Fender Jazzmaster, a Sun Model T, or a twin reverb. And for the pedals, my 4 on the floor, he says, they would be the Electro Harmonix Op Amp Big Muff, Mountain King Electronics Megalith, the Empress Effects Vintage Modified Super Delay, and the Matthews Effects Astronomer. That's good stuff. You got some good choices there, man. An honorable mention would be the Black Arts Toneworks Black Forest Overdrive. That's the one that Fintel uses. That's a great one.
Good
So
stuff.
thanks so much to Jack for sending that in. It's always great to hear from everybody. And I also want to mention he's a Poohbah.
Whoa!
He's a grand Poohbah. So thank you, Jack, for supporting us in the most awesomest of ways.
Give that man a fez.
It's coming. All right. Any announcements from you two clowns?
Yeah, I'm going to start a new job next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And tell us more.
Okay, so I'm going to work for Gibson Brands.
Whoa!
That's right. I'm going to be
The shoe company?
Gibson.
No, the greeting card company.
Oh, the green.
The Gibson guitars.
That is so exciting.
Oh my
Jared.
God!
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes,
I will
well,
be-
that
Congratulations
wasn't
on
news
that
to us.
one.
We all knew, but
Yeah.
Hey, what? Really? Tell us more.
I was told to act surprised.
I did act
Right.
surprised.
I will be just sweeping around and whatever.
You're gonna
Well,
be
I
a
just
janitor?
found out.
No,
All right, give us the spiel.
no, I'll be a product manager for pickups.
Nice.
So
Fantastic. That's so cool, man.
Yep.
And you're like a super Gibson guy, so this is like kind of like
Yeah, it's going to
it's
work
a big
out.
deal.
It'll work out.
It's a really big deal.
I'll find out pretty quickly how much other people know more than me about Gibsons, which is pretty exciting. So I'll learn more about Gibson
Right.
as I go along.
Nice.
So, but I do know, a good fair amount about it. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited to work for them.
Yeah, and you're moving down to Tennessee for a spell.
I am. I'm going to move down to Tennessee. Hopefully stay there, buy a house maybe in a year or so.
Right.
So I'll get down there and maybe run a house for a while.
Jared's
and,
going to jump down to Tennessee, and a few people are going to splash out of the sides.
pretty much. Yeah.
Hey, that reminds me of a joke. What did Tennessee?
Arkansas.
The same thing, Arkansas.
Oh man, that's awful.
Oh!
So, Gibson is super duper lucky to be getting a
Absolutely.
fellow like you with the amount of knowledge you have, and the pickups that you make are so flipping awesome.
Thank you. So as of right now, if everybody's wondering what's going to happen to Brandon Wound, right now Zach is pretty much taking over the reins.
And Zach is your
Zach has been protege. Yeah, he's been working under me for the past 5 years. So he's been doing a lot of the
gasping for air.
work. Yeah, right. Poor kid.
It was too easy. It was right there. What am I supposed to leave that on the table?
You could have.
Come on.
Hardy har har. No, he does a really good job. He knows what he's doing, and a lot of people don't realize he's actually been doing most of the retail orders that go to customers.
Yeah.
So I'm more than confident that he can take over.
Yeah, and you've been doing like all the special orders and
Some of the
a
special
lot of the
rewinds.
rewinds and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been actually,
Yes.
I've been doing the special rewinds. Yeah.
Simple yes would do.
But the special orders, he could actually do those as well. He could do pretty much what I can do. It's just some of the old vintage rewinds. I just need to show him the basics
Well,
of
the
that.
owner gets the spoils, right?
Yeah, kind of. But no, I mean,
Yeah,
everything's going to transition pretty smoothly.
yeah. That's really, really exciting. Now, we may have a little bit of a hiccup as Jared gets situated down there, but he's promised, at least to me, to do the best he can to keep on the show.
I just have to start there and just
Let's give him a week or so to get
see
settled
how
in.
things go. Well,
Geez, Todd.
I may want to come on the show. I mean, the first day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Next
see how
Tuesday.
you see how
super
you
exciting.
feel. You
Well,
might-
and the other cool thing is, Jared, you're going to run into all kinds of new people that might even want to come on the show from Gibson.
Probably. I think there are some things that we'll definitely want to explore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, are you surprised by that news?
Actually, I am. I did not know it. I'm like everyone else.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm very congratulations. I'm very happy for you. That is probably a perfect move for you, honestly.
That means a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Indeed. Well, this is a very exciting time for Jared.
Hey, let me know if they need a pickguard development manager.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Let's get on what's going on in our music world this week. Gentlemen, Tony's going to kick us off, and we're going to find out what's going on with Johnathan Jerusik.
Okay. Well, I imagine we could just skip right over Jared. I mean, how can you top that? I mean,
I got something.
He's got more.
Got great stuff. He's got more. That's why he's on the show, man.
All right, this week I wanted to talk about this. This is just driving me insane. Apparently there is a worldwide shortage of celluloid tortoise products.
Ooh, not good.
And I've had stuff on back order for at least a couple of months now. I am down. I should have enough of the tortoise mint black mint to complete my, the projects that I have in the works right now. But after that, my main supplier said that they will not be bringing that in because it went up an additional 30%.
Wow.
And we're talking stuff like, a sheet of this stuff is...
How big is a sheet of this?
Well,
stuff,
it might as well say
they have to cut it up and to send it to you, right?
No, I get full. I mean, in the industry, the standard size is like 24 by 54.
Okay,
that's like the standard full sheet. And generally speaking, the stuff that lists at about $560 a sheet.
Wow,
man, dude,
30 up from that.
30 up from that, and of course, my cost is considerably, about half that price, but. Even so, with that 30% increase, they're not going to be stocking it anymore. This stuff comes from Italy.
It's like about $700 a sheet.
It's crazy. I mean, you'd have to charge $100 for a Strat guard or something like that, and I just don't think people will pay for it right now. At some point, maybe. So I've been trying to source some other tortoise materials, and I've brought some stuff in from China. It's okay. There's stuff all over. I've got a brown marble tortoise acrylic that is made here in the U.S. that I like, but it's not the same.
No,
is this the inky stuff too? That's my favorite.
No, the inky. When you say inky, you probably mean like Dalmatian tortoise.
Sure, whatever.
Like the stuff that's on the Prince guitar.
Yeah, or like inky.
Or inky.
What would it take to actually make tortoise? What would you need?
2 turtles.
I couldn't do it.
What about what size of room and machinery do you need, and where would you get the chemicals to make the actual?
My understanding is the stuff starts off as a log. They create a 24-inch tall,
kind of like candy.
Yeah, sort of, and then
Just really big candy,
and then they cut layers as the thing spins,
like a veneer.
Like
So not like candy.
So it's more like a candy veneer.
Yeah.
Well, can't you make the log somehow? Like, how do you make the? How do you make it?
Well, let's see. All I would need is celluloid, menthol, some other explosive things, and
right.
Well,
a chemist degree.
Yeah, a chemist degree.
It's a fireworks store around here somewhere.
So, I mean, in terms of true celluloid, there's only as far as I know,
all you need is an RV and a respirator. You're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Guy in his underwear and a mustache.
I think if I had all that equipment, I think there's other products that would be considerably more profitable.
Right.
Then just shave your head.
Exactly. But so it's, so I'm looking for alternatives. At some point, so what I'm told is the shortage won't be over till at least September.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
In the so in terms of celluloid stuff, it's got to be, and it's on hold. I've put information on my website in orders that come in. I can't make any commitments to do anything. So, I mean, it's whether it comes from Italy or whether it comes from China, the product, celluloid nitrate, is not as commonly used now as celluloid acetate, which they make a lot for eyeglasses and other products like that. So it may come down to some hybrid of celluloid acetate laminated to, other types of products, but we'll see. I mean, it's maddening, and it's, people
Collectors won't like that. They want the original weird stuff.
I guess.
Right, Todd?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you want to pay $100 for a Strat card or $150 for a Strat card,
there you go.
Maybe. I don't know. It's not something I want to get into.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that super long update, Tony.
Oh, wait, there's more.
Jonathan, what's going on with your world, buddy?
Not too much. I'm still working on one of the hardest pedals I worked on. Not gonna lie, the bass player of Horseburner, kind of like a 70s stoner rock kind of bands. They're absolutely amazing. The bass player is looking for a octave with a big muff in one enclosure, so I have the octave obviously in front of the muff, but the muff is going to be a dry knob and a mid boost in it, as well as the standard muff controls, and then the octave side, and that's the side that's giving me a little more troubles, the octave side, because it's a little more in depth, and I'm trying to make sure I get it right, and just trying to make sure I get that good. And then also I do guitar repair. So a buddy of mine, he has a Gibson SG he's had for years. I used to work with him back at Daddy's Junkie Music. And I don't know if you guys ever had that in Ohio. It was mostly a Northeast kind of thing. It was a hybrid between a mom and pop, also not quite as big as like a Guitar Center. But
never heard of that.
I used to work there way back in the day before they closed down, unfortunately. And it was an awesome place. But anyways, my buddy, he has this Gibson SG, and he got a set of Sheptone pickups from back, and we're talking 2009. He got these from actual Shep himself, when Shep was still building pickups. And he got these P90s in a humbucker enclosure, and they sound phenomenal. They really do. And lately, he just mostly always plays on neck pickups. So he's been playing more reggae lately. So he's been switching to the bridge pickup, and all of a sudden it's like it keeps cutting out. So I actually got the guitar once before, and I diagnosed it that I think, because he's played this guitar for years with the same pickups for we're talking, we're like 11, 12 years now almost. And I'm like, you probably sweated out the pickup, or maybe there's a connection inside, because everything seems to be fine until I touched that bridge pickup itself. And he unfortunately had a gig, so I wasn't able to really tear it apart. But then he did go to someone else, got a second opinion. I guess they went through all the wiring, redid all the pots, switched everything. And it temporarily fixed it, but it's starting to do the whole thing over again. So he brought it right back to me and said, yeah, I think you're right about the pickup. So I'm going to be pulling it out. I got another pickup here I'm going to temporarily put in for him just so that he can get through some gigs and playing. And then he's going to, he already talked to, I think his name is Joe. He's at Sheptone now. Or is Josh? I forgot his name. I'm sorry. And he said he would be more than happy to fix it up for him. So, yeah, those have been my two big things right now.
Nice. Little bit of repair action there. It's always fun to do.
Oh, yeah.
Breaks up the monotony.
Yeah. Jared?
Oh, yes. So a few weeks ago, now it's probably 3 weeks ago, now that everybody's listening, right? I got an email from a manager of a gentleman named Jay Maskus, and asking if I can send Jay Maskus a set of Noiseless Jazzmaster pickups.
I remember that.
And I was like, yeah, why not? So I also sent him a set of the
Dinosaur Jr., in case anybody doesn't know who that is.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I also sent him a set of wide range pickups. So he will get both. So why just send one set when you have the opportunity to send something else as well?
Yeah, postage is the same.
So, yeah. So Zach should appreciate that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Jay has a lot of guitars, if I remember right. I mean, I know he primarily is known for his jazz masters, but on records, he'll use P90s, Tellys, anything. So that was probably a really smart move on you.
He probably just is like everybody else and likes stuff that's cool, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he also plays in another band called Heavy Blanket. It's like a super group between him on like a lead guitar and 3 out of the 4 members are all 3 members of Earthless. And it's just like this huge jam band. I got to see him once live, and it was just 45 minutes straight of Jay Maskus shredding, and it was it was intense.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
So, yeah, hopefully maybe something turns into something. I don't know, but we shall see.
That's
Very nice.
That's got to be so cool to just be like, hey, this super... And, you know, anybody that is not familiar with Jay Maskus, one of the things that he's known for is gear. Lots of it.
Yeah.
And is a very... When we had Ren and Cuff on, you know, he was telling me about like how intensely he was tuned into the tone of like a very specific fuzz pedal that he had at one point in time. So it's like he really cares about that, and that's I would say that's a pretty big compliment.
I'd say so. Plus, the guy sounds like Kenny Rogers when he sings.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Good old
wouldn't it be better if he was playing that kind of music, but also actually sound like Michael McDonald? That'd be fantastic.
Sorry, Michael.
Yeah. Anyways,
If you're listening.
okay. So
We're going to hell.
For me this
How
week,
about you, Todd?
Thank you. I was talking about speaker replacement on last time, and what I did was tear up. I've got a tweed, like a hot rod tweed extra cabinet, Fender hot rod. In
Some would
tweed.
call it an extension cabinet.
Yes, it's not a truck; it's an extension cabinet. Thank you.
extended cab.
Yeah, it's an extended cab. You know, I put my water skis and stuff back there.
Oh, why not?
Anyways, so in that particular, it's a closed back extra cab. Now you got me all messed up. It's a cab. It's a cabinet. In the back of that is kind of a crap speaker. I mean, it just doesn't sound really great, in my opinion. But we took that out, and then we tried Jared, and he said, "Hey, here's a Celestion Greenback, and a 25 watt, and it sounded good at a lower volume, but it kind of got a little too round for my taste, which I think is probably indicative, but apparently according to Jared. And I'm running this through my new Hello Sailor Film Sound
Hello, Sailor.
amp, which I am absolutely in love with. And then Tony said, I was like complaining to Tony, I'm like, I can't get the tone I want. You know, as per usual, I make things hard on myself for whatever reason. Tony said,
All you have to do is ask first.
I know.
And you don't ask.
I thought I did. Anyway, so Tony goes, hey, I got this old speaker that I found that's been kicking around in the back. Tell him the story.
Yeah, it's an El Nico painted, an El Nico speaker painted blue. It has no other markings on it, so I can't say it's a true Celestion. I can't say it's a Vox. I can't say it's.
It kind of looks like
Weber.
old Jensen Weber kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean
it's
it's
got the big bell on the back.
Yeah, the bell on the back and a big old El Nico magnet on the back side.
Big magnet.
And so I had it at the shop. It wasn't loaded into anything, so I said, "Here, try this."
It's 8 ohm, but we have no idea what the wattage is on it.
Well, I'm guessing it's 25 watts.
Really?
Yeah, 15 or 25.
26.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Anyway, so put that in.
Mm-hmm.
And plugged in. Put the fez pedal into it. Hit a chord, and I yelled up to my daughter. I'm like, Jane, get down here! Because she loves when I'm like trying out new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe the sound I was getting. I was really, really excited about this. It held. It had a really tight bottom end.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredibly articulate. It had sort of top end, a little bit of fry on top, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I could I could pick just like take a little G chord and go boom, 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 no big deal, and then instantly hit it, and it just sounded like thunder. The dynamic range that I was able to get out of that, I was really blown away by.
And I think that's, as I said to you, welcome to the world of Alnico speakers.
Well, I mean, I guess I haven't had any in the past, but
no, you haven't.
Oh. All right.
But no, I mean, it's everything you describe is as it should be.
Right. Now,
there are a ton of different versions of the greenbacks, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, when we're saying Alnico as opposed to
ceramic.
So it's all, there's a ceramic magnet, Alnico magnet, or now there are the Neodym.
Right.
Neodymium.
I'll help you out with this.
Neodymium magnets. And Leshin is smart because the original blue Alnicos were just 15-watt speakers. So you generally would have a single one in like a Vox AC15 or two of them in a Vox AC30 to handle the wattage. Now they have also got they released a gold, which has, I think, a 50-watt rating probably. And then they also have a ruby, which has somewhere it's either 35 or 40. And then in the world of the ceramic side, I mean, at least in my world, the standard was the greenbacks. Those are 25-watt speakers. Essentially, the structure is the same, except the magnet is different. Ceramic versus Alnico. And then there's varieties of that. So there's some people call them creambacks. Those are a little higher rating. I think those are 65 watts. And, and then it goes in, and probably within the last 10 years, they started releasing the neodymium magnet ones, which I don't particularly care for. The beauty of them is they weigh about a third of what a typical speaker does, because the magnet, it can be a very small magnet.
That's a rare earth thing.
Rare earth, yes.
Neodymium.
Neodymium. So that's those are your options. And I think with a tube amplifier in particular, especially a low wattage tube amplifier, to my ear, the Alnico speaker always sounds better. Just to give you an example, I've got a Dr. Z 30-watt Moz, and it's got a Z-Best cabinet, which is a 212, and I have a Celestian Gold Alnico and a greenback, which is voice for bass. That's just to give it a little more bottom end.
Bass.
And to me, that combination sounds really good in a 212 cabinet, because most of the sounds coming out of the gold, but a lot of the contoured bottom end and some of the mids are definitely coming from the greenback. So
very cool. Thank you, man. That's why I love Tony on the show, doggone it.
Welcome to Speakers 101. Speakers 101.
That's right.
Had little bowls of popcorn and our slippers on, and we're just listening to old Uncle Tony telling us about good stuff.
I'm going to start whittling next.
All right. Well, we're almost done with the show now, so I'm just kidding. No, good conversations. That's what it's about. That's fantastic. So let's get on with things.
How about you give me a little of this?
Were you paying attention?
Too soon.
Were you paying attention?
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
What is one of your absolute favorite things on the floor of your guitar area?
My pedals.
Your pedals. What are those pedals connected to, Jared?
They are connected to very durable, awesome tour gear cables that connect to each other.
That's
Tour
right.
Gear Designs?
That's right. They have a little teeny tiny thing that fits all in the same area, and then
That's a jack.
it's awesome.
Yeah, very tiny jack.
The jack is
and a very flat cable.
Very flat, fits everywhere,
And it goes this way and that way, and you can twist
get
it
S
around.
shape or whatever shape, and long and short and sweet and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, boy, that's-
somebody take this before I ruin it.
Well, those must be very expensive, Jared.
Nope, they're under $6.
They are.
And we have a thing you can do on the thing and get a thing.
Yep, here you go. Go to tourgeardesigns.com/discount/the guitar knobs. You're going to save 10% on your entire order.
10%?
I
That's
said
the thing.
entire order because I'm more than confident that you're going to say, I need to grab a bunch of these right now.
That's right.
Look at your board.
Look at your board.
Look how many pedals you have.
How many pedals?
And get more than what you
needs
need.
Connected where.
Always get
Get a
more
couple
than
back
what
up.
you
Get
need.
a couple, and that way you can just move them around a little
It's
bit if
worth
you
it.
want.
It is. It's absolutely worth it. So
I love it.
tourgeardesigns.com/discount/the guitar knobs. Get yourself 10% off your entire order from some really great people that are making an outstanding product.
Boom.
We want to thank Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor segment. Jared?
How about a little bit of this?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor.
Johnathan Jerusik, Grand Poohbah Extraordinaire, please give us your 4 on the floor.
Okay, so stipulation is I can't use any of my own pedals. But there's the loophole I've heard from a few people of clones that you have built of other said pedals. So, one of them that I've actually really enjoyed and has really piqued my interest is a sister to the pedal that I built for you, Todd, is the clone. I also did mine in like gold sparkle as well.
It's so
And-
cool. It is so cool.
Yeah, I actually got a Laney amp, and I absolutely love the Laney amp. It's very, I know everyone claims it's very Marshall-y, but it's just got that British mid-range fatness, and it has tons of gain on tap, but I find that depending on the style of music, just throwing that clon right on top of the already nice crunch just pushes it over that edge and just gets me to that more modern sound. It kind of, because the Laney has a very warm vintage crunch to it, very growly, a lot of low mids, and then the Klon having a little more upper mids kind of pushes and makes it poke through the mix really nicely.
And you played heavier, a lot of heavier music, right?
Yes, I mean I range everything. I mean I play punk and stuff like that too. But the main stuff I play, which is with the Gallows Hill, is I guess people call it more of like a sludge doom kind of sound. Best way I could describe it is if you've heard a band called Neurosis, or there's another band called Isis where they have this very ambient sound, but then they're also very aggressive, and the music just kind of pushes and forms as it goes along, and almost the music itself tells a story as well as the lyrics, which is something that I thoroughly enjoy.
So
What's the band called again? Isis?
Isis is one of them, but Neurosis is like one of the founders of that kind of genre, that kind of doom sludge, post-metal-esque genre, they call it.
Is that a rule that you have to have the band name end in an IS if you're in that genre?
Oh man,
I never thought about
the
that.
time it took for that lead balloon to hit the floor was brilliant. Tony, that's a record.
I think that is an all-time record.
I was waiting for Johnathan
That's a
to
full
react to that.
touch football count there.
I think I got into the end zone.
2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi.
So you guys do a lot of Jimmy Buffett covers and stuff too, right?
Oh yeah. You know, we're sipping on the what does he sip on? Margaritas. Yeah.
Son of a sailor. Yeah. That's
Anyway.
Sorry, I was also thinking of that song with the pina coladas.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, oh my God, that's a horrible song.
It really is.
Yeah.
Anyways, how about number 2? Get us out of this.
Oh, sorry. Yes, number 2. So, because I can't list any of mine, I will list a good friend and a former guest of the show, Electro Foods Pedals. Hey guys.
Hey.
Last time I mentioned their Nepenthes, which I absolutely love. But their Eye of Raw fuzz. It's a muff style fuzz, and it's got so much control on it. I mean, you got so many different gain structures with it. You got 3-band EQ with it. You can focus how you want to tilt the frequencies a little bit, and it's just so usable. It gets you that basically like it goes that Black Sabbath kind of sound almost right out of the box, and I absolutely love it. And it's got like 70s fuzz written all over it, and I get floored every time I play it. I absolutely love that pedal.
Nice. Hey, I was going to ask you before I got too off in my own world. Which model Laney amp are you using?
It is the GH100R. It is a newer Laney amp, but what's cool with the Laney GH100R is that they call it a red and black or something like that. Basically, it actually has a gain and a volume as well as a output. So you can actually, so the output actually acts as a post phase inverter master volume. Mm-hmm. So if you turn it down, it doesn't affect the tone in any way. It just makes it quieter. And you could have the output almost all the way off, and you can crank the actual gain channel, and you can get the power tube saturation that so many people are after. So you can really get this like nice combination of preamp gain and power tube gain, and then you could just take the output, crank the crap out of it, and it just sings. It's so loud. It's probably one of the loudest amps I've ever played. And the clean channel, because I'm your stereotypical, I don't like my cleans very clean. I like to have a little edge to it. I feel like it gives a little top end and a little pokiness. But I love the clean channel on it. The 3-band EQ on it is so interactive, and it's just even the slightest bit of adjustment of the gain. Just you can go from everything from like a 800 Marshall if you just you just scoop out all the low end, and because there's so much low end to the amp as it is. If you even turn the low end all the way off, you get into that Marshall territory. If you kind of bring up the low end a little more, you almost get into like orange territory. And then if you dime the low end, you get into almost like even closer to like Mad Amp, like GT120-esque territory, where it almost starts like farting out a little bit, where it's just so overly saturated. So it's such a versatile amp, and it can go from wicked dark to really bright. With using the Klon, I can get almost like the 5150, because I also have a PV 5150. With the Klon and the Laney, I can get a 5150 type sound, or even if I use like a tube screamer and the Laney, either one, where it kind of tightens up the bottom end a little bit more. So yeah, Laney gets overlooked a lot, I feel like, in the industry. And I feel like they could be really a lot bigger than they are. It's just they get kind of put in a shadow, I feel like, even though they really are their own thing. So
that's cool, man. And that's an outstanding sort of intro into that amp. I mean, if anybody's not familiar with that, well, you are now.
Yeah, seriously, it could do almost anything with it, but I will press on.
Yes, number
I don't want to. So number 3, typically, I actually really like Flanger. I haven't found the perfect Flanger yet, but the one that I've actually really enjoyed and I've kept on my board the longest is the Boss BF3, just the latest, greatest Flanger that you could buy from Boss. I keep literally everything at noon, and that's it. And it has enough swirl in it. It has enough movement. When you play on clean, it just makes it sound so lush. And then when you throw it on top of like a gain of any type, you get that like Eddie Van Halen, like, when, what's that song? I completely escapes me, where it's like ba 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 da 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 da. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Sorry,
Panama.
That song, you got it, Todd. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just an absolutely awesome Flanger. I mean, I've tried the EHX ones before. I don't know if I just didn't give it enough time. I really wanted to try one. Was it the AD or something like that, or ADDA? Yeah. I forgot which one that is. I've heard that one's really cool. Unfortunately, a lot of companies either make like the flanger as this like huge unit, or it's just like an afterthought kind of unit, and it's like I want something in between. And unfortunately, not a lot of companies make something in between. And I've been kind of trying to do more research on building a flanger so I could hopefully get a little corner in that market where it's something in between.
Yeah, dig it, man.
Yeah.
I like it. I prefer a flanger to a phaser myself.
Really?
With the phaser,
but I'm not doing like fish music and I just like a little bit that movement. I don't use it all the time, but I use it specifically on a couple songs from the Valentino's album, and it was perfect.
Shameless self-promotion.
No shame.
Well, the thing is with the flanger and versus like say like a phaser to me is that when the phase, when obviously it goes out of phase with itself, it almost sounds like it. I don't know if it actually is, but it sounds to me like it's detuning, and it just gives this weird swirliness that I don't necessarily agree with my ears. Whereas the flanger, everything's like nice in unison, and I don't like it extreme. Mostly I use it when I'm on clean, and I use it with my delay, so I get this like almost like a glass like sound in a weird way, and it's really cool. It like uplifts the top end just a tad bit. So
I think a lot of people don't realize the different sound that you experience when you actually add another amp. And if your flanger or your phaser has a left and a right out.
I've never tried that.
Yeah, so the biphase has. This is awesome because the stereo pedal that I have, it's one input. It has a left and a right out, and then the biphase, the original old biphase Mutron that I have, has a left and a right input and a left and a right output. And you can actually change the way those left and right inputs, if they mesh together, there's a switch for that. So I found the switch where it keeps those two isolated. So, I mean, I have best of both worlds, and it's very easy because you have
the song.
There it is. So you can run the left and the right of the stereo into the left and right input and then output, and you have both a phaser and a stereo easily, managed. I think it's awesome, and it just adds a whole new dimension when you have one amp on one side and an amp on the other side of the room. It's just it is totally different. It's very pleasing.
Now the stereo in, is that also like a dry in, or is it like you can just choose between the two? It's just
No, it's just a dry in. Oh, okay. The stereo pedal takes your signal and it splits it up and it does its thing. It stereoizes the dry in.
Okay. No, that's pretty cool. So
that would be weird if it had a left and a right in. If you had like a stereo ES, what was it? A stereo what? Then they make them the ES models stereo back in the late 50s, early
like
60s.
that.
Like a 345 or maybe
it was kind of more of a deluxe, feature because stereo was kind of a thing back, a new thing back in those days.
I always wired mine for quad.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, old tape decks. They had some quad tape deck players, reel to reel.
Did you ever experience a quad stereo system?
I had one that could do it, but I didn't have enough equipment to run that.
You think that's where the Who got the thing?
Quadrophilia?
No, that's something else entirely. Quadrophenia.
Four personalities.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Hey,
yeah,
what's
sorry.
Sorry. So I still use my Earthquaker Devices Dispatch Master because I mentioned that once before, like way back in the day. But actually recently I've gone back to the MXR Carbon Copy, and specifically the Carbon Copy Mini. Now, the Mini, if you're wondering why, two reasons. One, the actual power jack is on the top of the unit. I'm not too picky about top mounted jack versus side mounted jack. Even when I ask people a lot of times when I build pedals, like, do you want side or top, depending on the pedal and depending on the build. But I do prefer having a power jack on the top of the pedal, which something that MXR really doesn't do a lot, which always boggles me because then it gets in the way. Although I do use Tour Gear Design patch cables,
Yay!
so
All right.
There we
that
go.
has helped out. That has helped out a lot, and I do post on my Instagram page that we endorse their patch cables because they're really durable and well made, and I use them with everything on both my boards. That's a longer story. The second reason I use the Carbon Copy Mini is it actually has a switch, and a little mini external switch that you can actually switch between the dark or the normal version, which is a darker version, and the bright version. So, which is kind of weird because if you get the regular MXR Carbon Copy, it's just the standard version, and then you have the MXR Carbon Copy Bright, so they're two completely separate pedals. Or you can get the Carbon Copy Deluxe, which, yes, has the built-in tap tempo and all this other fancy-dancy stuff on it, but I was like, I don't really need all that. I mostly just turn my delay on, use it for clean, and then I turn it off. If I really want to adjust it, I just make a little adjustment, and then I go from there. But I really wanted to try the difference between the normal version and the Bright, because the reason I actually stepped away from the Carbon Copy for a long time was I had an amp that, even though it wasn't necessarily like a really bassy amp, but it's actually a very dark amp, and the repeats of the normal Carbon Copy just got lost and they just swooshed out. So that's why when I found the Boss DD3, I absolutely fell in love with it, because all of a sudden I could hear my repeats. They cut through all the reverb. If I wanted to do something really ambient, it just poked right through nicely. So then I found the Dispatch Master, which is a digital pedal, but it's actually it's a little bit on the warmer side. But after getting the Laney and the versatility of the Laney, I was like, I kind of want to try the differences. And with the Carbon Copy, especially with the mod switch, you could get it to almost sound like a tape delay, because when you have the modulation on, it kind of does that like it's like repeats, and it has that one repeat that kind of warps a little bit. Not quite as warpy as the Woozy by Champion Lucky, but it does warp a little bit, which is kind of cool. So it's definitely one I would recommend to, if you're interested in, one, checking out the Carbon Copy, and two, it actually is a little less expensive than the normal Carbon Copy, and you get both the normal and the Bright. So
that's cool. That's a good tip, man. Thank you for sharing. That's a delightful 4 on the floor. That'll go with any main entree, and thank you for sharing that.
That's right.
Very cool. So we've got Johnathan Jerusik, who is one of our most excellent Grand Poohbah supporters on Patreon.
Oh, you're too kind.
And no, you are actually, truly.
Yeah, the one who contributes.
Your support has greatly helped our show, and it's not just our show. As I mentioned before, you are very active in the community. This is a community that you clearly have a lot of passion for, that you are very invested in. You support so many of the small builders, and it's great to have people like yourself out there, but great to have yourself on the show right now. So, Johnathan, give us a dip into the music pool that you jumped in. How did you get in there?
Well, I'll try to make the backstory as short as I can. I have a tendency to talk a lot, so just tell me to shut up when you want me to.
Okay.
So, long story short, my grandfather on my
No.
That's it for the show. Would you really?
Go ahead.
So my grandfather on my mother's side. So I'm from Western Mass, the 413 area code. So anybody out there, Massachusetts strong. Bruins are doing great, by the way, as of right now. So, my grandfather is from Bayonne, New Jersey. So anybody from Bayonne or New Jersey, how you doing out there? Sorry, I just butchered that. Anyways, he was a trumpet player, a big jazz musician from that area, and always grew up on classical and jazz music, and playing trumpet, and then seeing both my uncles on my mom's side, her brothers, play guitar. Really just piqued my interest, and I just wanted to get a guitar. And so my sister, I remember when we were younger, my sister's older than me. She got a guitar, never played the thing, put it in her closet. I couldn't touch it, nothing. I was so upset. I was like, God, I want to play guitar. But then the coolest thing happened one day when my grandfather came from New Jersey to visit. He brought over my uncle's old now I'm not 100% sure on the date. It's either 62 or a 64 Gibson acoustic. And it was technically one of the student models. It's like a triple O body style. And it's got all the original frets on still, the original tuners, everything. And it just plays amazing. Everybody that I hand it to, they fall in love with it. The neck isn't too big. The headstock actually is the skinnier headstock, like a melody maker. So I feel like it stays in tune really well. I won't pick that guitar up for months sometimes because I don't always like to take it out of the case, even though I love playing it. And it'll be 90% in tune. Especially because I put on those Kurt Mangan strings that you recommended, Todd.
All right.
And the Monels. And the thing is it just sings. And that was actually my first guitar. So I'm always very blessed and lucky to have that as a first guitar. And after that, I got an electric guitar, and my parents, they were very gracious enough to get me a more basic electric guitar. And of course, with a more basic electric guitar comes the more basic electric guitar issues. Sometimes the input jack doesn't work, or maybe you get more of a basic cable and the soldering joints on the ends don't work. So what I started doing when I was like 14 or 15 is I took my mom's, she had a wood kit, like the wood burning kit. So I took her wood burning iron and started soldering my input jacks and soldering my cables to get them to work again. And when my mom found out, she's like, let's get you your own soldering iron. So we just went to Radio Shack and just got a basic like $10 soldering iron kind of thing. And I started on my way with learning how to solder, and skip around a few years, and then I started going to school at Springfield Technical Community College out here for electronic system engineering technology, dealing with circuit boards and just anything that was micro technology related, so op amps and all that stuff. How much I retained of it is a question in on itself, but I really enjoyed it. And it just, really pushed my interest more into circuit boards. Through school, I made my very own headphone preamp, which I still have till today, and not 100% sure if it works, but I still have it.
Do you keep all of all the old stuff that you made?
A lot of it, yes. I have a lot of it. I have some of the first pedals I built. They necessarily don't work, but because back in the day, I just after building a preamp, this is 12, 13 years ago, I was like, oh man, you can get these basic pedal kits online, and one of them was like Mod. Oh, what was it? It was like Mod Kits USA or something like that, or DIY Mod or something. I can't remember. And it was called the Thunder Drive, just a 2-knob battery, no thrills, no nothing. and I just got it and I built it and it didn't work. So I was like, great, it doesn't work. And then I went back and I looked at what I did wrong, and then I got another one and I built that because I wanted to compare the two, and the second one worked. But I don't know if it works right now because I haven't tried it in a long time. Plus, I wasn't very good back then when I first started doing it. I don't think anybody really is. But, that just put the bug in it because I've always loved learning how things work. I always loved breaking things down. I used to tear apart my parents', VCRs and old tape recorders and stuff like that.
Me too.
And, they'd be like, "Oh, it's not working." Yeah, it was a blast. I'm pretty sure I shocked myself a few times too.
Yeah, of course.
But that's the whole learning process, right?
That is fun.
So
that's what I would give my daughters. They'd be watching me messing around with stuff, and we had some like old electronic stuff, and I'd say, "Here, take this apart," knowing full well I'm not going to try to put it back together. They wanted to do that, and it's, as a kid, it's like, man, that's just such a treat.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, my dad always worked on our own cars. We if we didn't have it, a lot of times, sometimes we built it, or if we need to fix it, we fixed it. We never tried to really throw anything away. If it was beyond repair, that's one thing. If it was beyond our knowledge, that's another thing. But, we're constantly always, changing oils, filters, spark plugs, the more standard stuff you would do on a car. And then, if of course, I had past relationships, whether they be friends or whatever, and, their cars would break down. So we would start tearing apart their engines and probably messing up their cars more than they probably were in the first place.
Yeah.
I've always liked to tinker.
Well, that's a good sort of background and tinkering spirit to have, especially if you're going to be messing around with pedals and stuff like that. When you started to get into more of the gear, is there any particular builders that kind of really ignited your interest?
I mean, there's been tons of builders. I mean, obviously you got your standard builders like, the Boss and the MXR and all those guys who always, pique your interest. And then obviously you see the guys like Earthquaker and everything else. The Electro Foods pedals guys really, were always and still are so much help, especially if I have questions or anything else. And, just listening to obviously the Guitar Anonymous podcast too really, really helped and just kind of made me go along. And believe it or not, a lot of the stuff that I started, I hate to say this, but was also out of spite. And what I mean by that is that especially a few years ago, a lot of companies were, building these pedals, and they were putting the R&D research into a lot of pedals, and people were making clones of some of the pedals. And I have nothing against clones. I do it myself. It's not that. It was that they were charging as much, if not more, for their clones of the pedal. Now, I can understand some pedals are really hard to get. I get that. I mean, I clone a Boss FZ2 because the original Boss FZ2, one, they're very short in numbers. Two, they sell around like $400, I've seen between $300 and $600 on a given day. And people who all of a sudden are in the boutique world, and this might, I don't want to get ostracized for this, but some of them were selling their own versions for like $200 to $250. And I was like, man, and they were selling out like hotcakes too. You try to go buy one, they're sold out. And I was at a point where I was starting to get a little annoyed because I was like, man, I don't have $200 something to to throw on a pedal right away, and especially because I have 4 kids, and $200 is diapers and groceries and stuff like that. So I kind of got to a point where I even had a friend, his name's Adam, he's a really nice guy. It was like, hey, I have this Behringer, it was like the basic Behringer $30 pedal that was replicating the FC2. And him and I were talking. He's like, man, I really like the pedal, but it's all plastic. Everything's plastic on it. And I'm like, well, what if we could rehouse it? And what if we could do this? And it kind of started piquing more of my interest. And I started looking at it. And I'm like, the potentiometers were mostly plastic. The input and output jacks were mostly plastic. The foot switch was plastic. The whole enclosure was plastic. And it's like, I can understand why it's a $30 pedal. It probably cost them like $10 to make, if that, maybe $5. Yeah, $1.50 probably. And I was like, you know what, man, I could build you an FC2 clone. I was like, let me do a little bit of research and see what I could do. And I was able to build them one, and I was able to kind of do out the math, and I could get a FC2 clone build one for around $100, $120 between there, depending what kind of fancy specs you want on it, or if you want different colors or whatever. And yeah, my pedals may not look the most attractive, but that's the way I keep my costs down. Because I also like to live by the school of rock and roll, where if you have knobs, turn them until they sound good. And once they sound good, just leave it, like, it shouldn't matter what knob does what. Cause we get these preconceived notions in our mind a lot of time that, we see a low end and we need to crank it up, or we see the mid range and we need to turn it down, or we see the treble and we need to have it, it's like, if you take out your preconceived notions of what knob does what sometimes, and just turn them to see what sounds the best, and really kind of be like, and I've always found that was really cool. And through that, I just, all of a sudden he wanted one, then he told another buddy, and then they wanted one, and then it just kind of took off with the FC2, and then eventually I was very fortunate enough to meet Scott Mellinger from Zayo, and we talked about gear, and I actually got tattooed from their vocalist Dan from Zayo, and Scott and I got talking about gear, and I was like, hey man, I'm actually building pedals. Did you possibly want anything or need anything? And he's like, yeah, actually. So I built him like an FC2. I built him reverb. I built him a chorus pedal and all this stuff. And now he's actually one of my endorsing artists. The newest Zayo record, I'm actually in the liner notes as gear they used and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
cool, man.
And it's really weird because I've been listening to them ever since I was like 10, 11 years old. And, all of a sudden, if I was to go back and tell my 11-year-old self, hey, one day you're not only going to have them they're going to know you on a first name basis, but your product is actually going to be on the newest record, and they're going to put you in the notes that they used your product for their sound. And it just, I'm still flabbergasted by it. I just actually got the record in because their pressing was delayed a little bit, and I opened it up and there's 12th hour devices right there. And I was like, man,
what a great feat. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question for you, Johnathan.
Shoot.
What excites you the most about the guitar community as a gear enthusiast?
A lot of times how things work and how things tick. Just deconstructing, even something like with pickups, why do higher output pickups act the way they do? Why do lower output pickups act the way they do? Why do magnets act the way they do? Just stuff like that. And also trying to debunk things. Try to debunk that, you have to buy the most expensive thing to be good, or you have to get the latest and greatest to be good, or you have to, and you have to always chase the next thing, because sometimes what you have can get you there. I mean, there's a lot of times that I have a lot of people who ask me for advice, even if I'm not building them a pedal, just directing them to the right direction. There was a person recently, I helped her pick out a JB pickup because she wasn't sure what to get for a pickup. And then I mean, I get a lot of people a lot of times that ask me about, hey, what kind of pedal should I be looking at? And I don't care if I build it or don't build it. I just like helping people, because not everybody has the same brought up that I do. I mean, I have a really good friend named Rob, and he helped me with my tone journey, still helps me with my tone journey, and I try to pay that forward. And that's why I do the YouTube channel, because even though the YouTube channel, I'm not as active, and I actually just posted a video, but I need to get more active with it. That whole thing is that if I was a kid who was 15 years old, or even if I was a person who was 30 years old, or even if I was a person who's 60 years old, and I'm either just getting into guitar or getting back into it after years, and there's so many of these misnomers, I feel like people say, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. And it's like, you know, maybe you should try this. Maybe something that works for you may not work for somebody else. Like with my Les Paul, I actually use 500K linear taper volume pots and linear taper audio, or linear taper tone pots, because I actually really like how the taper works, and I actually like how it seems like you get a little more top end when you're rolling it back, because it doesn't go so as dark, or as it doesn't cut out so fast. And you know, some people think that's really weird, and it is what it is, but you know, it all depends. You know, what works for one person doesn't work for somebody else. And I just try to, you know, why do some people love Ernie Ball strings? Why do people love D'Addario strings? I mean, I'm a huge Labella string fan from New York, you know, or Kurt Mangan's, you know. It's just one of those things where what works for one person doesn't work for another. And just knowing why certain things do what they do really always excites me, and helping people a lot of times in finding a tone or finding what they could do even with the gear they have. Some people don't understand, hey, why don't you try an overdrive pedal or even a boost pedal after your fuzz pedal? You know, turn it on very low, and it just all of a sudden makes your fuzz pedal sounds like it's 20 times louder, because, you know, when everybody wants that Jimi Hendrix sound, well, Jimi Hendrix had a cranked Marshall amp. So if you're actually using an overdrive pedal after your fuzz pedal, it almost is acting like you're going into a cranked amplifier, and it can actually give you that really fat sounding fuzz, because a lot of fuzz pedals, even back in the day, the vintage ones, aren't very loud. You had to almost max the volume just to get anything out of it. So just knowing certain things and knowing how certain things, you know, tweak with other things, that's what really kind of gets me going, you know.
Awesome, man. Well, it certainly sounds like it. That's very cool. I appreciate you sharing that. And you know, we're really glad that you took the time to share sort of your backstory on this and how you got involved and why you care about the community and everything. And I'm just glad that you're part of it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm so happy that I found you guys, because, you know, at the time I was in a very dark place, you know, with mentally and stuff like that. And I still suffer from anxiety and depression. Anybody out there who's suffering from anxiety, depression, or even suicidal thoughts, please feel free to reach out, or feel free to, you know, contact the hotlines and everything, because there's so many people out there who deal with it. And there's so many times out there you just feel like, you know, you can't get through it, but you can. Just because, like Robert Downey Jr. said, just because you're at your lowest doesn't mean that you can't go back up, you know? And, you know, so when I found you guys, I mean, you guys were really in the early stages. Jared wasn't even a host yet. I don't even think Jared.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was. What was that guy's name? Chris. What's his name?
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah,
Chris Graham.
Yeah, I remember he was like one of the main hosts, and then I remember you guys when you did the compressor 101s and stuff like that. And those were like some of the first episodes that I heard. You know, and you were like in the early double digits, basically. Mm-hmm. And at the time, there was I'm not going to name them straight out, but there was another podcast that they were dissing. This guy asked a question about how do I work on my guitar, basically, like changing strings, stuff like that. And they just completely were making fun of this person for wanting to know where to start. And it really put a bad taste in my mouth. And it really pissed me off because it's like, you know, that person probably will never touch their guitar again or try to figure out what the truss rod does or how to change their pickup height or even how to change their strings, because somebody like you who they're looking up to in the community, and it just really tore a hole in my heart. And after that, I found you guys as well, and it really that's when I reached out to you, Todd, and I remember telling you how grateful I am for your podcast, and you know, and I remember telling you that story. Yeah. And that was back on just emails. We were just emailing back and forth. I don't think you even had the Instagram yet. And it's just like one of those things where, you know, I appreciate you guys a lot. And I know a lot of people out there also appreciate you guys a lot. And, you know, thank you. I really am thankful.
Thank you, man.
You don't have to worry, John. The only person we make fun of is me.
Well, it's funny.
True. That brings me to a little game that I want to play with everybody right now.
No, we're canceling the segment.
Absolutely not, because now it's time to play Would You Rather?
All right.
This week's Would You Rather is somewhat related to me and my newest development with my thing, job, whatever. So,
your job career.
So, you know, you're walking down the street for no reason and you go back home and then you look in your
closet.
Right, your closet or your big guitar collection there, and you're like, man, I've got like
800 guitars.
2 of each. Okay, so you've got about, I don't know, 20 highly valuable Fender guitars.
Fender.
That are awesome.
Fender.
Telecasters, Stratocasters, Jazzmasters, all sorts of good stuff. You know,
so pre-CBS?
All pre-CBS.
Okay.
And then in another showcase...
Yeah.
You have all vintage Gibsons. All vintage.
All vintage.
Pre-60s. So big money.
Late 50s.
Right? Late 50s, like the golden years. So here's a stipulation, though.
What's the story?
You've
we've walked in the room. There's a thing of Fenders,
right.
of Gibsons. Okay.
You're basically Joe Bonamassa, right?
Okay.
So Fender and Gibson... They both want to hire you.
Ooh.
But here's the bad part. Whoever you go with, you have to get rid of the other brand. You have to sell them off within a month of starting.
Ooh.
And by the way, this has absolutely nothing to do with, I don't have to get rid of my Fenders, by the way, so don't worry.
Nice.
But I thought it would just
That's
a really
very
cool,
interesting question.
Right. So
I almost wish you had chosen another brand, like it had to be like all Gretsch or all Fender, something like that. I think it's
I think Gibson and Fender are like the main two food groups of the world. They both know that about each other.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's a good one, Jared. Well played.
So you have an opportunity to work for Gibson.
Yep.
Opportunity to work for Fender.
Yep.
But the stipulation: if you work for Gibson, you got to sell all your Fenders.
Yep.
Within a month. Or if you go to Fender, you got to sell all your Gibsons.
Yep.
Wow.
And you have the equal amount of value in both collections.
So you've got like $150 worth of guitars in each side.
Something like that.
All right. Interesting. Tony?
Well, Jeez, boy, that would be a tough one because I'd hate to have to part with half of my collection.
I know. It's tough.
But I suppose, oh man. I'm going to go work for Fender.
Okay.
Sell my Gibsons.
That's solid.
I'm going to sell the Gibsons.
That's not really a Gibson guy. I don't see you as that guy.
Yeah, you're more of a Fender guy than a Gibson guy.
Yeah, I definitely am. But I do have a fair number of Gibsons.
Well, yeah,
too.
but that's not what we said, Tony. All right, hey, just for fun, you're going to work at Gretsch or Rick. Which one do you get rid of?
Oh, I'd work at Rick in a heartbeat and get rid of every Gretsch.
Okay. Yeah. Jared?
I think we all know what I'm going to say. I mean, I pretty much took myself out of the game here.
Yeah.
But I think if everybody goes back on all the podcasts and figures out what brand I like better, it's obviously Gibson. Right. So we'll let my past and all that answer that question. Obviously Gibson. Good. Yeah.
Jonathan?
But I really love my Fenders.
This is really a tough one. Can I print out decals and put them on the other one? So print out.
No, you must choose.
No, I know. Personally, I mean, my number one guitar is a 77 Les Paul Custom. Nice. My first guitar I ever owned was the Gibson Acoustic, and majority of my guitars are single cut based on Les Pauls. So I'm going to have to go Gibson. Also because I do like GNL a little bit better than Fender. Oh,
all right.
Hey, that's not a bad thing either.
No, I really like GNL guitars.
Right. Well, yeah. Leo's last hurrah. So,
yeah, pretty much.
I love my Telecaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I really love playing my Jazzcaster.
Mm-hmm.
But I even more love just even the one that I have, my double cut Les Paul Special. I love that guitar.
I love mine too, man.
And I don't have any other really expensive ones, so I'll take them. If I get a closet full, heck yeah, I'll go work at Gibson.
All right.
So once again, Tony Island.
Yeah. Yep.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
I'm hopping a
It's a solid choice, though. I mean, I love my Fender Stratocaster. Yeah. I like my Fender brand guitars.
It is.
But
it's not a...
there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Absolutely not.
Do I honestly feel like Fenders are a little more versatile? Yeah, I will say. I feel like they're a little more versatile in a lot of ways.
And durable.
Probably.
I think Gibson has...
Well, anyways,
great choices
on the Gibson versus Fender podcast somewhere else in this world, not here. So we got to thank a few people here, Tony Baloney.
Do it.
I believe that we do, because at this point of the show, Todd, we like to thank a very special group of people. These are our executive producers.
I love them.
And you might be asking yourself, or someone that's sitting next to you, what's an executive producer?
Oh, man.
Well, it's pretty easy. An executive producer helps make this show possible.
They do.
You want to find out how to become one? Go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. You find a couple of different levels in which you can participate. Become a sponsor, patron of this very podcast.
Mm-hmm. You get stuff.
Well, each level comes with a great bevy of thank you gifts,
stickers,
T-shirts,
keychains,
all kinds of stuff,
barefoot buttons,
and things like that.
But as an executive producer,
you
get all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing more, Jared.
Yes, you get to have your name read on the thing.
Your name read on the thing.
thing.
That's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers.
Do it.
Tom Brazen.
Wow, that was loud.
Martin Cliff. John Daly. Chris Kearney. Darren Gregory. Doug Christ. Michael Van Zant. Ken Sayers. Brian Robison. Michael Senchuk. Stefan Lamb. Johnny Knowles. Anthony Lathrop. John Anglin. Tyler Bray. Brad Partridge. Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Bill Gola Guitars, Richard Kendall, Tig Harmon, John Jackson, Jason Roush, David Rando, Douglas King, Gary Cooper, John Saxby. Oh, not John Saxby. How about Rob Saxby?
Him too.
Both the John and Rob Saxbys.
That's right.
The Saxby brothers. Mark Garton, Elad Mizrahi, and Maggie D.
My man.
Right on.
But wait a minute.
Were you getting ready to interrupt me, Todd?
I think there's more, isn't there?
There's
old buddy?
more because there are these special group of executive producers that live on the executive suite, the penthouse with the view.
All
I
together,
like,
it's
baby.
a big mess.
It's a big mess, but that's okay.
It's a
because
fun mess.
They have a fez to put upon their head.
Hell of a maid bill.
Ooh, well, that's true. And room service, through
Yeah.
the roof.
That's all we'll say.
Well, these would be our Grand Poohbahs. And we are fortunate this week. We have a new Grand Poohbah.
Yes.
Huh?
We're going to welcome on board Mr. Jack Kyden.
Yeah.
Hey!
Welcome to
Captain Jack.
Captain Jack, that's right. How about Johnny Morales?
Also new. Welcome.
Yes, welcome again. Yeah, we welcomed him last
Should
time.
have set up my snare drum.
Yes.
There you go.
John Williams, LSJ Music Company, James Pennington, Tyler Rhines, Tim Novak, Steve Keys, Adam Johnson, Tommy Manasco, Sean S. Cody Fosta, Science of Sound, David Kaminga, Corey Nigro. That's all.
All right.
No! Johnathan Jerusik.
Thank you.
Oh, that guy! Oh,
Thank you so much. Thank you a million times. Thank you all. Jonathan, where can people find you?
mostly I'm on Instagram. You can look up my full name, Johnathan Jerusik. Usually in the bio, I have the links for 12th Hour Devices and for the Gallows Hill. And if you need to ask me a question, even if it's just to say, hey, like I said, you can message me. That's no big deal. Fortunately, no Facebook.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tony?
Well, let's just say you need a special pick guard, everything but tortoise, as we talked about earlier. Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the stuff I have available there. You can order some things, but by and large, what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email, let me know what you need, and I will get you all set up.
Awesome. Jared, where can people get a hold of you?
People can get a hold of me through the Guitar Knobs Messenger app on Facebook.
Yeah,
I believe Instagram too. I get those too. I'm an admin. So
if you tag me on, just send us a DM on Instagram. I'll get a hold of it.
And I wanted to also add that if anybody has any questions about pickups or anything, they can also contact Zach at Brand Wound if they wanted to.
Is that his actual email?
He will have. That'll be set up by the time people hear this.
Zach
So-
at okay, Mayor, or maybe there's more to come on that. So just
ask us.
everybody.
We'll get you. We'll take care
get a
of
hold
you.
of
Yeah.
You can shoot me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com, or DM me at Instagram at guitarknobs, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you, Johnathan Jerusik, for joining us today.
I really appreciate this. It's been a long time coming, but I really appreciate it.
You bet.
It
man.
was a pleasure.
You bet.
Yes.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. All right, everybody, have a fantastic Guitar Week and subscribe.
Make it clean.
Oh my God, I'm a fried mess.
I can't replicate that.
Well, we're gonna make it try.
All right.
Those are snappy looking shoes on you, though, and we know you're a bit of a shoe horse.
Oh, but they
I
look
like
good on
the
you.
shoe.
Yeah.
You get a bowl of soup with those shoes?
You get a free bowl of soup with this.
Oh. Let's do that whole thing over.
Let's.
It is a hot son of a bitch in here. You guys
He put a
notice
plastic
that?
bag on his head for some reason. I'm just trying to wind Jared up a little bit. I'm not. The eyeballs.
This is getting.
You're going to make me sit in here, and it's 180 degrees.
I'm gonna get a fan.
I'm getting 5 fans. And now he can't
I
remember
tell you what
what
the
he
problem
normally
is.
says.
It's too hot in here.
It is pretty hot in here. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Now he's just winding us up.
The light bulbs are like heaters.
They're not.
They're fluorescent. What the hell just happened? Why isn't it playing?
It's just one of them days. It's too hot. Can we do that over?
Sure.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.